This happened at a family picnic in the park. My husband and my cousin thought no one saw. I saw them together at the family picnic, under the canopy, half dressed and half honest. Did you ever think betrayal could taste like potato salad and sunshine? It's July 2025, Denver, Colorado. The air was thick with the smell of barbecue and the sound of distant laughter. My family reunion. I planned the whole thing, every detail, down to the last paper plate. I wanted everything to be perfect. Because my life wasn't. Not really. The pressure of planning this reunion weighed heavily on me. I had spent weeks coordinating travel arrangements, dietary restrictions, and activity schedules. It was supposed to be a joyous occasion, a chance to reconnect with family I hadn't seen in years. But beneath the surface, I felt a gnawing anxiety. My husband, Matt, and I had been trying to have a baby for 3 years, with no luck. The whispers and concerned glances from my relatives were becoming unbearable. My cousin Brooke especially never missed an opportunity to comment on my biological clock. That afternoon, I needed extra drinks. The sun was beating down, and everyone was thirsty. Matt, could you watch the potato salad? And Brooke, you're great with people. Mingle a bit? I remember saying that, feeling the weight of the cooler in my hands. I was gone for maybe 15 minutes. 15 minutes that shattered my world. When I got back, the scene under the canopy was wrong. Unspeakably wrong. Matt's shirt was unbuttoned, his hair disheveled. Brooke was adjusting her dress, her face flushed. They jumped apart when they saw me, like guilty teenagers caught making out. "Everything okay here?" I asked, my voice tight. Matt stammered. Just chatting, honey." Brooke was asking about my new promotion. Brooke chimed in, a little too eagerly. "Yes. So exciting, Matt. You deserve it." But their eyes told a different story. A story of stolen moments and secret desires. My stomach churned. I wanted to scream, to rage, to tear down the entire picnic. Instead, I forced a smile. "Great," I said, placing the cooler on the table with a thud. "Drinks are here. Let's get this party started." I spent the rest of the afternoon in a daze, going through the motions of a hostess. I smiled, I laughed, I refilled drinks, but all I could see were Matt and Brooke under the canopy, their lies hanging in the air like the smell of cheap charcoal. That night, after everyone had left, and the park was deserted except for the blinking lights on top of the ranger's station, I couldn't sleep. Matt was snoring softly beside me, oblivious to the volcano erupting inside my chest. I got out of bed, grabbed my laptop, and went downstairs. I needed answers, or at least I needed to understand. I started with the park's website. I remembered seeing a notice about new security measures. Drone surveillance. They claimed it was for safety, to deter vandalism and monitor crowd sizes. But maybe, just maybe. I found the contact information for the park's administration and sent an email explaining that I was the event planner for the family reunion and requesting access to the drone footage from that afternoon. I held my breath as I pressed send. What would you have done? Waited or dug deeper? The subject line read, "Park drone footage request." My heart pounded as I opened it. Inside was a link to a secure server and a temporary password. I logged in, my hands shaking. The interface was clunky and outdated, but I managed to navigate to the correct date and time. There it was, the picnic. My family, laughing, eating, playing frisbee. Normal. Then I saw it. The canopy, Matt, and Brooke. The angle was from above, but it was clear as day. Their bodies pressed together, their hands. I won't go into detail. The drone captured everything. Every stolen kiss, every whispered word, every lie. I felt like I was going to be sick. I downloaded the footage, saved it to multiple hard drives, and then sat there, staring at my computer screen, tears streaming down my face. My husband, my cousin. A family reunion turned into a nightmare. What do you do when the people you trust most betray you in the most profound way? Days passed in a blur of anger and grief. I couldn't look at Matt without wanting to scream. I avoided Brooke at all costs. The guilt was eating me alive. I started replaying every interaction I'd ever had with both of them, searching for clues, for signs that I'd missed. One afternoon, while rummaging through Matt's closet, I found a letter tucked away in the pocket of his old leather jacket. It was addressed to him in Brooke's handwriting. My blood ran cold. Matt, the letter began. I can't stop thinking about you. That day at the picnic. It meant so much to me. I know this is wrong, but I can't help how I feel. I need to see you again. The letter went on, detailing their secret rendezvous, their stolen moments, their lies. It was all there, in black and white. Proof of their betrayal, proof of my pain. I crumpled the letter in my fist, tears blurring my vision. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a deliberate, calculated affair. How could I have been so blind? I decided I needed to confront Brooke. I drove to her apartment, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The setting sun cast long shadows across the buildings, making the city seem even more menacing. I knocked on her door, my heart pounding. She answered, her eyes widening in surprise when she saw me. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice cold. "We need to talk," I said, pushing past her into the apartment. "About what?" she said, feigning innocence. I pulled the letter from my purse and threw it at her feet. "This. Explain this." She picked up the letter, her face paling as she read it. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "This isn't mine." "Don't lie to me," I said, my voice rising. "I saw you, Brooke. I saw you with Matt, at the picnic, under the canopy." She looked away, her eyes darting around the room. "It didn't mean anything," she whispered. "It was just a moment of weakness." "A moment of weakness?" I repeated, incredulous. "You've been lying to me for months. You've been sleeping with my husband, and you call it a moment of weakness?" "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I swear." "Then why did you do it?" I demanded. "Why?" She hesitated, then said, I was jealous of you. You have everything. The perfect husband, the perfect house, the perfect life." "Perfect," I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "My life is far from perfect, Brooke, and you just made it a whole lot worse." I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. "Please," she begged, "don't tell anyone. It will ruin my life." "You should have thought about that before you betrayed me," I said, shaking her off. I walked out of her apartment, leaving her standing there, alone and defeated. But I didn't feel any satisfaction, only a deep, aching emptiness. What kind of person begs for forgiveness after destroying someone else's life? He denied everything at first, but when I showed him the drone footage, he broke down. He confessed to the affair, begging for my forgiveness. "I made a mistake," he sobbed. "I love you. Please don't leave me." "How can I ever trust you again?" I asked, my voice trembling. "How can I ever believe anything you say?" "I don't know," he said, his head in his hands. "But I'll do anything to win you back. Anything." I didn't say anything. I just stared at him, my heart broken beyond repair. He looked pathetic, but was he truly sorry? Or just sorry he'd been caught? Days turned into weeks. Matt tried everything to win me back. Flowers, gifts, apologies. He went to therapy, started cooking dinner, even offered to do the laundry, but the trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces. I confided in my mother, telling her everything that had happened. She was furious, especially at Brooke. "That girl was always trouble," she said. "I never liked her. She's just jealous of you." But my mother also surprised me. "Don't be too quick to forgive Matt," she warned. "He betrayed you in the worst way possible. You deserve better." Her words echoed in my mind. Did I deserve better? Was I strong enough to walk away from a marriage that had become a lie? Then, one day, my mother called me, her voice urgent. "I need you to come over right away," she said. "I have something to show you." I drove to her house, my stomach churning with anxiety. What could be so important that she needed to see me immediately? When I arrived, she led me into the living room and handed me a stack of documents. I found these hidden in your father's old desk, she said. I think you need to see them. The documents were financial records, bank statements, loan applications, property deeds. As I flipped through them, my eyes widened in disbelief. Matt had been secretly transferring money out of our joint account for years. He had taken out a second mortgage on our house without my knowledge. He had even forged my signature on several documents. He's been stealing from you, my mother said, her voice filled with anger. He's been planning this for a long time. I felt like I was going to faint. Not only had Matt betrayed me with Brooke, but he had also been systematically robbing me blind. How could I have been so stupid, so trusting? I can't believe this, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I know, honey, my mother said, hugging me tightly, but you need to be strong. You need to protect yourself. Matt was furious when he found out what I was doing. How could you do this to me, he screamed. I'm your husband. You forfeited that right when you betrayed me, I said, my voice cold. The divorce was messy and bitter. Matt fought me every step of the way, trying to keep as much of my money as possible. But I had the evidence, and I had a good lawyer. In the end, I won. I got the house, the majority of our assets, and full custody of our dog, Buster. Brooke, meanwhile, had become a pariah in the family. No one spoke to her. She was ostracized and shunned. She tried to apologize to me, but I refused to listen. You ruined my life, I said. I don't want anything to do with you. I thought that would be the end of it. But a few months later, I received a threatening note in my mailbox. It was anonymous, but the message was clear. Back off, or you'll regret it. I was terrified. Was Matt behind this? Or Brooke? Or someone else entirely? I reported the note to the police, but they couldn't do much without any leads. I started looking over my shoulder, afraid to leave the house alone. I installed security cameras and a home alarm system. I felt like I was living in a constant state of fear. Then, one night, I heard a noise outside my bedroom window. I grabbed a baseball bat and crept to the window, peering out into the darkness. I couldn't see anything. Suddenly, the window shattered. A figure climbed into the room, their face obscured by a mask. I screamed and swung the bat, hitting them in the arm. They stumbled backward, cursing. I ran out of the room, slamming the door behind me and locking it. I called the police, my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial the number. The police arrived quickly and searched the house. They found no one. The intruder had escaped. I was shaken but unharmed. But I knew I couldn't stay in that house any longer. It was no longer safe. I sold the house and moved to a new city. I started a new job, made new friends, and tried to put the past behind me. It wasn't easy. The scars of betrayal ran deep, but I was determined to rebuild my life, to find happiness again. One day, while volunteering at a local animal shelter, I met a man named David. He was kind, compassionate, and funny. He loved animals as much as I did. We started dating, and I slowly began to trust him. He never judged me for my past. He just listened and offered his support. A year later, David proposed. I said yes. On our wedding day, as I walked down the aisle, I saw Matt sitting in the back row. He looked sad and defeated. He didn't say anything, but I knew he was sorry. After the ceremony, I went over to him. I forgive you, I said. But I can never forget. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I understand, he said. I turned and walked away, leaving him behind. It was time to move on, to embrace my new life. As for Brooke, I never saw her again. I heard that she moved away and started a new life. I hope she found happiness. But I also hope she learned a valuable lesson about the consequences of her actions. The funny thing is, all of this started because I wanted a perfect family reunion. I wanted to prove that I had it all together. But sometimes, the things we want the most are the things that destroy us. So, what's the moral of the story? Protect your peace at all costs. Choose your battles. And never, ever underestimate the power of a park drone. But also remember this. Betrayal doesn't have to define you. You can rise above it. You can rebuild your life. You can find love again. You can even forgive. The choice is yours. Do you protect your peace or ruin reputations? It's been a while now. I still think about that picnic. The smell of barbecue, the sound of laughter, the look on Matt and Brooke's faces when they saw me. But I don't let it consume me. I focus on the present, on my new life, on the love that I have found. And you know what? It's a pretty good life. Imperfect, yes, but real. And that's all that matters. So, what would you have done? Could you have forgiven them? Write what you would choose in the comments below. And if you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime tales. The memory of that threatening note still lingered, a dark cloud hanging over my newfound happiness. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just a prank, a cruel joke. But the fear persisted, gnawing at my insides. David, bless his heart, was incredibly supportive. He insisted on driving me everywhere, walking me to and from work, checking the locks on the doors every night. He even started taking self-defense classes, just in case. I felt grateful for his protection, but also suffocated by it. I wanted to be strong, independent, not some damsel in distress. One crisp autumn afternoon, while I was unpacking some boxes in our new apartment, I stumbled upon an old photo album. I hadn't looked at it in years. It was filled with pictures from my childhood, my teenage years, my wedding. As I flipped through the pages, I saw a picture of me and Brooke, taken at my 10th birthday party. We were smiling, carefree, our arms wrapped around each other. We were inseparable back then, like sisters. How could things have gone so wrong? What would you do in my place? Dwell on memories. That evening, David and I were invited to a dinner party at his colleague's house. I wasn't really in the mood to socialize, but David insisted that it would be good for me to get out of the house and meet new people, so I reluctantly agreed. The dinner party was pleasant enough. The food was delicious, the conversation was lively, and I even managed to laugh a few times. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I kept catching glimpses of a woman across the room, staring at me intently. She was older, maybe in her late 50s, with piercing blue eyes and a severe expression. Every time our eyes met, she would quickly look away. Who was this woman, and why was she staring at me? On the drive home, I told David about the woman. He dismissed my concerns, saying that I was probably just being paranoid. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. A week later, I received another letter. This time, it wasn't a threatening note. It was a formal invitation to a meeting with a lawyer. The letter stated that I was named as a beneficiary in my Aunt Carol's will. My Aunt Carol had passed away unexpectedly a few months earlier. I hadn't seen her in years, but I was still shocked by the news. She was always kind and generous to me when I was a child. I felt a pang of guilt for not staying in touch. I attended the meeting with the lawyer, my heart heavy with grief. The lawyer explained that my Aunt Carol had left me a considerable sum of money and a small cottage by the lake. I was stunned. I had no idea that she was so wealthy. The lawyer also informed me that my Aunt Carol had left a letter for me, to be opened after her death. He handed me a sealed envelope, my name written on the front in my aunt's familiar handwriting. I waited until I got home to open the letter. My hands trembled as I tore open the envelope and unfolded the paper. My dearest protagonist's name, the letter began. If you are reading this, it means that I'm no longer with you. I am so sorry that I didn't get to say goodbye. I have been meaning to reach out to you for years, but I never knew how. I have something to tell you that I should have told you a long time ago. It concerns your father. Your father was not a good man. He was a gambler and a cheat. He owed a lot of money to some very dangerous people. I tried to help him, but he refused to listen. One night, he came to me, desperate for money. He said that if he didn't pay his debts, they would kill him. I didn't have enough money to help him. So, I did something that I am ashamed of to this day. I stole the money from your mother's trust fund. I gave it to your father, hoping that it would save his life, but it wasn't enough. He lost the money gambling and was eventually killed. I have lived with the guilt of what I did, for I know that I can never make amends for what I have done. But I hope that you can forgive me. I have left you my fortune in the hope that it will bring you some happiness. Please use it wisely. With all my love, Aunt Carol. I sat there, stunned, the letters shaking in my hands. My father, a gambler and a cheat. My aunt, a thief. My whole life had been a lie. How could I reconcile this new information with the memories I had of my father? I remembered him as a kind, loving man. Was that just a facade? What if your deceased aunt confessed to a dark secret? Would you question everything? I hesitated, then answered it. Hello, I said. Hello, protagonist's name, a voice said on the other end. It was the woman from the dinner party. My name is Eleanor. I need to talk to you about your husband. My blood ran cold. What could this woman possibly want to talk to me about, David? Was this connected to the threatening note? Was she another one of Matt's scorned lovers? How could my past continue to haunt my present? What do you want? I asked, my voice trembling. I know David, she said. I know who he really is. What are you talking about? I demanded. David is not who he says he is, she said. He's been lying to you. That's not true, I said, my voice rising. I know David. I trust him. You're being naive, she said. David is a con artist. He preys on vulnerable women. He steals their money and then disappears. I don't believe you, I said. You're lying. I can prove it, she said. Meet me tomorrow at the coffee shop on Main Street. I'll show you the evidence. I hung up the phone, my mind reeling. Could Eleanor be telling the truth? Was David really a con artist? Or was she just trying to ruin my life? What would you do? Believe a stranger or trust your heart? I spent the rest of the day in a state of turmoil. I didn't know what to believe. I loved David, but I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed, my mind racing. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to know the truth.